Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'du, fa'uzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is study number 8 of the Ramadan Daily Quran studies for the year 2023, compiled by Zahid Aziz for the Ahmadiyya Anjuman Ishaat Islam, Lahore, UK. The topic of this study 8 is continuing with Ijtihād, or the exercise of judgment, and we will look at the various schools of Islamic jurisprudence, or the schools of fiqh as they are called. In the 2nd century of the Islamic era, the 4 great jurists or fuqaha who arose codified Islamic law among Sunni Muslims according to the needs of their times. Their names are very well known. There was, first of all, chronologically, Imam Abu Hanifa, then Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And you can see on the slide the dates of their deaths. Imam Abu Hanifa's school, the Hanafi school, is the most widely followed in the Muslim world, and it is the one that Muslims in the Indian subcontinent generally follow. Imam Abu Hanifa based his system largely on the Quran and on very few hadith reports, since in his time hadith reports had not yet been compiled into collections. Later on, when hadith was collected and was more in use, the followers of the Hanafi system introduced into it more such reports. The development of this Hanafi system on the right lines would have resulted in immense benefit to the Muslim world, but this did not happen. It was Imam Abu Hanifa who first directed attention to the great value of reasoning in legislation. He also laid down the principle of equity, whereby new laws could be made and inequitable judgments, unjust judgments, overturned. After Abu Hanifa came the other 3 Imams. Each of them created their own set of laws, but they relied much more on hadith. The use of reason was declining as we moved from the first Imam to the 4th one. And Maulana Muhammad Ali writes in his book, The Religion of Islam, as follows about this. So Maulana Muhammad Ali writes this: Ahmad ibn Hanbal, that is to say the 4th of the great Imams, made very little use of reasoning, and as he depended almost entirely on hadith, the result was that he admitted even the weakest report. It would thus appear that from the system of Abu Hanifa, who applied reasoning very freely and sought to deduce all questions from the Quran by the help of reason, the system of Ahmad ibn Hanbal is distinguished by the fact that it makes the least possible use of reason, and thus there was a marked falling off in the last of the 4 great jurists from the high ideals of the first, so far as the application of reason to matters of religion is concerned. Maulana Muhammad Ali writes further, even the system of Abu Hanifa himself deteriorated on account of the later jurists of that school not developing the master's high ideal, with the consequence that the world of Islam gradually shut the door to Ijtihād or exercise of judgment, and stagnation reigned in the place of healthy development. So that is what Maulana Muhammad Ali wrote. After the first 6 centuries of Islam, scholars began to regard the door of Ijtihād to be closed. They said that from now on there can only be followers. These are called Muqallideen or Muqallid. They can only quote an earlier decision, or if there are different earlier decisions about the same issue, they can choose any one of those decisions, but they cannot question the correctness of what has been said. And this concept is known as taqleed or following. On the contrary, the Holy Quran recognizes independence of opinion for one and all, and requires that absolute obedience be given only to God and His Messenger. Independence of thought for every Muslim is recognized in Islam by allowing him to differ with all except the Quran and Hadith. And since the ultimate test of the correctness of Hadith is the Quran itself, the conclusion is evident that Islam allows independence of thought subject only to one thing, that the principles laid down in the Quran are not contravened. Maulana Muhammad Ali concludes as follows on this concept of Ijtihād and its history in Islam. He writes, "It will thus be seen that any Muslim community has the right to make any law for itself, the only condition being that such law shall not contravene any principle laid down by the Holy Quran. The impression prevailing in the Muslim world at present that no one has the right, even in the light of the new circumstances which 1,000 years of the world's progress have brought about, to differ with the 4 Imams, is entirely a mistaken one. The right to differ with the highest of men below the Holy Prophet is a Muslim's birthright, and to take away that right is to stifle the very existence of Islam. Under the present circumstances, when conditions have quite changed and the world has been moving on for 1,000 years, while the Muslims are more or less stagnated, it is the duty of Muslim states and Muslim peoples to apply their own judgment to the changed conditions and find out the ways and means for their temporal salvation. In other words, for the solution of the problems they face in this world. That then is the end of study 8. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quranil Azim wa nafa'na wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim. Innahu ta'ala jawadun karimun malakum barurur rahim.